We're gonna make a tuna casserole. If you ever had Tuna Helper, it's exactly the kind of thing that we're doing, except you'll never have Tuna Helper after you have this.
It's 1,000 times better.
So what's in this, Jess?
So we're gonna make a bechamel, butter, flour, whatever seasonings, milk, cheese, tuna. We're gonna put a breadcrumb topping with some parsley, breadcrumbs, and Parmesan cheese.
What kind of tuna is this?
This is just chunk light tuna packed in oil. You definitely want oil packed tuna for this. So we're gonna saute some shallot and red pepper in the butter before we add the flour to make the bechamel.
Well, let me work on the pepper. You work on the shallot.
Okay, let me do the shallot first. Now, a lot of people don't ever buy shallots or use shallots. I notice every time I'm in the store getting them, people saying like, what are those? But I think they're really good in this particular. Slippery little sucker. Some noise happening. And then I'll come back and chop the rest.
There's a lot of different ways to cut a pepper. Here's a way that I learned. It's a lot of fun. You don't have to do it like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the knife and I'm just going to kind of lay it flat against the cutting board, and I'm going to try to find a flat spot on the pepper, and this part right here looks pretty good. And I'm just going to start right there, and I'm just going to cut flat, and I'm going to start to turn the pepper. And you don't want the seeds, and you don't want the white flesh from the inside of the pepper. And if you cut it like this, you see most of the seeds stay right there. The great thing is, now I have this pepper and it's flat. So we're only going to use half of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop half of this.
We're just gonna toss that in with these onions so it can soften a little bit. And this is starting to, the bell pepper's starting to get a little soft, so we're gonna go ahead and add the flour. Now, I see people do it all different kinds of ways. You know, some people swear that you have to have cold milk. In school, we always warm the milk. I use cold at home usually, but I add it little by little. So this smaller batch, that was probably half a cup of milk. It's already getting thick. You can kind of see it takes a second to... So I'm just going to add a little more. We actually are not going to add the cheese to the sauce. We're going to add the cheese with the tuna and the pasta. Now, as soon as this is all the milk's incorporated, I'm going to add salt and pepper and the bay leaves.
Ready to drain the pasta. This colander was actually Jessica's grandmother's. She got this as a wedding gift in the 40s.
She gave it to you.
And she gave it to me when Jessica and I first started dating, and I didn't have really any dishes, and so she gave me towels and dishes and stuff that, you know, I was a bachelor, I was a single guy. She always took care of me. Your grandma always did. So after you drain your pasta, just put it in a 13x9 baking dish, and as you'll see,
we're just gonna come in, we're gonna throw the tuna in. Throw some salt and pepper in. And we're just gonna kind of mix it up a little bit, break up some of the meat, get some of the oil onto the noodles. And then we can actually go ahead and add the cheese and get that stirred in a little bit.
sometimes we make make stuff just to figure out how it's made. I mean,
We do that a lot. Actually, we could do a whole series on deconstructed restaurant dishes. Now we're gonna add the sauce. Normally I would probably take the bay leaves out now, but I actually waited a little longer to put them in than I might normally. So I'm just gonna bake them in there. So it's all kind of thick and sticky, as you can hear from the cheese. We got a good mix of bell pepper and tuna kind of spread throughout. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in with the breadcrumbs. Now I'm using a roasted garlic breadcrumb. And I got about 1/3 cup, and it's probably a little more than I need. But if you don't go heavy, it kind of sinks in. I'm gonna sprinkle Parmesan cheese, and this is about 1/4 cup. And then we got about a tablespoon of parsley. Now we're gonna foil it and bake it. Then we'll take the foil off and cook it for about an extra 10 minutes. 75. So it's been baking for 30 minutes with the foil on. We just took it out. We've taken the foil off, and we're gonna put it back in for about 10 more minutes. It doesn't necessarily get incredibly brown, but it's still delicious.
let that cool off a little bit. And we'll serve it up. I'll dip some of this out. I'm just going to drop them into these ramekins here. It's not real thick, so you want to give yourself a nice little portion.